Okay, we're gonna dive into this entire post. It's actually gonna be a little bit long. Yes, there's a lot of different arguments that are going around. Again, I'm like kind of in the medium. So even if it does get nerfed or they end up removing the method, I know that I'm still pretty capable of making good money with mining. It has been nice though to get out of the mines for a little bit, but let's see. So this is the suggestion post. It was posted today. Uh Posted by BR Spam Me 9809. I completely agree, Sedarius. I did add my take at the bottom, which we'll get into. But let's see what they have to say. So as we know, there's an incredibly broken money method going around requiring nearly no blossom items. No, that's I'm all about trying to provide proper information. This is false. Nearly no blossom items. No, you need Cupid's axe, you need Luminar helmet, you need Luminar wings, and you need D's Mushy, which is like impossible to get. Not only that, but to make things better, you need to have telekinesis. And I think as far as I know, that's pretty much it. But still, that's still a lot. Those are multi-million-dollar items. True, it is OP since the one item makes more than several $1 million mining kits. Yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, it would make sense if there was like a rebalance with it, but saying kind of like saying that it's not like, or saying that it's easy to replicate is completely false. No, you need the extra reach. 100% you need the extra reach. If you don't have the extra reach, then you need fly, and if you don't have fly, then the method is going to be pretty much useless. Trust me, it's pretty much not going to work if you don't have fly or if you don't have higher reach. Annie, thank you for the follow. But so they're saying, but it can generate up to 200,000 per hour. It involves an auto bone meal farm alongside a mushroom chopper, as well as mushrooms themselves. Even without the bone meal, methods such as manual Kodama are still possible, generating upwards of $140,000 per hour. I think that's completely fine. That's just me though. If you reach level 100 farmer and you're rotating between the Kodama, D's Mushy, as well as a time stone, let's say, if you're making like $140,000 per hour, bro, the APM for that, it's probably insane. Like you're rotating through your kit, keeping track of the cooldown. It makes farming viable. So even if they get rid of the redstone build for the D's Mushy method, keep this. I would argue to keep this method. This is fine. Like, I love, as much as I do love mining, I do believe that other jobs should have a limelight as well. And so, yeah. So items such as D's Mushy has skyrocketed in price, as well as Cupid's axe. With a with a rickety setup of 2 items, you can defeat or at least match 25 mil plus gear and at least 15 items at Miner 101 profits. That is true. Like, but remember, it is a player-based economy. So, I do want to say that like the method hasn't been hidden. Like ever since D's Mushy came out, and ever since I guess Cupid's axe came out, which was a while ago, I think that's like 2 years ago. Technically, this method was around for a long time. It's up to the players to kind of discover these things, which we are discovering now, right? Not block reach, but it gives you entity reach. For the Nanovex helmet, it gives you entity reach, which means that you can attack mobs at an extra 3, but not for block range. It is incredibly unfair to push waves and waves of support for miner jobs and digger jobs through every crate. Every crate has a pickaxe and a shovel and some sort of item useful for those jobs, and even push support for florists. Also a broken job now with Fawn Bloom and Flower Wand, as well as more recently Smither. But 2 items have completely unmatched 4 years of support miner other jobs have received. I guess that's pretty valid actually. Like, I would say it makes sense that Blossomcraft tailors towards mining because it's just like when it comes to like the resource world and everything. I think it's really easy for somebody who doesn't understand Blossomcraft to dive into the mines and make money that way, and it's a great stepping stone. Like nobody's gonna come in and then do like a florist job, for example, to make money, right? Like mining is also the job that like when you go into Blossomcraft for the very first time, it is a job that you're defaulted at. I got paid 10K to help someone use Kodama, Terra, Cleaver, and Mushy. I was paid to use Kodama on the mushrooms, and this was months ago. So the method's been up for a while, just not perfected, or at least on Cherry it was. Yeah, and I want to mention that Lenora was the one who kind of like sparked my inspiration a couple months ago, where they showed me like the D's Mushy method, but like manual Kodama. So it has been around for a while. It's like five very expensive items that are very hard to get. Not some too cheap items, as he says. That's what I'm saying too, right? That's why I'm like, okay, I'm in the medium because I understand from an outside perspective on somebody who doesn't understand the method, to think, oh my gosh, like this is broken and this is so easy. The economy's gonna break. But to be honest, even if you were playing for like a couple of months, to replicate this is really freaking hard. It's really hard, and the redstone knowledge that is required to build a machine is also quite tough too. Yes. So 200K, I make upwards of it's on average 230 to 250K with the gorb, but without gorbing, it's about around 200 to 220K per hour. So that is it's not terrible. It's still a lot of money though. It's actually quite a bit of money. Here, let's see what he has to say. Obviously, Legion knows about the situation. Yes, because I wouldn't have shedded light on the method if British didn't let me know that he actually reached out to Legion and elaborating on the full method, and I was also kind of passing that forward to you guys, my community, to ensure that nobody feels like unsafe doing it, because like like I wouldn't want to publicize something that is like against the rules, right? So I had to I wanted to make sure that you guys were getting the reassurance, and I needed the reassurance as well, and British did reassure me on 2 different occasions that it was okay with Legion. But we're talking like private chat. I want to see what Legion says in this public post. Maybe his opinion has changed. I don't know. We'll see, right? I'm quite curious. Whatever his decision is, I know it's gonna be for like he has the server in consideration, right? So it's whatever he chooses, I'm gonna be okay with. But I would like a clarification. Yeah, me too. Would this method be nerfed or toned down a bit? It would definitely save Genesis Orb situation where people invest into these items and only for them to be nerfed a while later. Secondarily, I'm suggesting a nerf to the farmer job mushroom. All variants from 0.3 to 0.225 per block or something similar. This would still be an extremely significant and OP money-making method, fetching 125,000 per hour, but it wouldn't outshine miner or other jobs that people invested tens of millions in. I guess it's fair. I get it. I mean, a singular item costs 15 mil. We sure ought to make it worth, right? Yeah, I guess, yeah. Like, I could see it, like, now that he's like they're diving into numbers, like I could see like Legion doing like a rebalance to make it like on par with mining. I think farmer, I can see how like farmer outshining and blowing mining out of the park can be kind of off-putting. So rebalancing it and making it on par with mining just so people have an option for money making, I think that's cool too, I guess. There's probably only like 5 or 10 people doing this method because no one wants to build one and it's an expensive setup. Yeah, and that's also another argument, right? We'll get into all of that. Don't worry. Let's just see what they have to say. As a note, farmer has already received a huge buff, making jobs leveling easier, meaning you can achieve max profit faster, 100% buff in job EXP, so cutting a profit isn't too bad. Those who wish to level it for jobs GTOP remain unaffected. Those who wish to profit can still level fast. Yeah, I mean, like I'm level like 180 now. I think if Legion decided to Like anybody who made progress the last like I guess a couple of weeks, like to push it back. I mean, that would spark so much backlash though. I don't think he's gonna do that because like he would have if he were to do that, then people would argue, okay, when the warden situation with Hunter, like why didn't you roll back those? So I don't see him rolling back anybody's accounts. Don't worry about that, because he would have done that with Hunter. All right, so yeah, so that's their post. I think it's pretty insightful. It got a lot of town votes, but I mean everything they said was like, I mean except for like saying like it involves like requiring no blossom items, like that's completely invalid, to be honest, because items that are required are quite expensive. But that's the only thing that I really have to say. Like, all right, so Fabian says it. All right, Sam again. So I did try my best before pushing farmer as much as physically possible under the usage of automated farms, good cooldown usage, multiple blossom items, and good farms. The highest realistic number I can achieve is around 120k mark consistently, which is still quite a lot, considering I need around 50 to 70 shulkers of bone meal per hour. It is quite bone meal consuming. It is really bone meal consuming. An automated farm strategy, blossom items, which is more stressful than mining. It isn't too far-fetched. Mushrooms did nerf fairly recently to counter this idea. I can see the issue and would generally agree to a nerf regardless. However, a farmer is around the only thing worth doing for farmer ever. I deeply beg for a slight boost in money and XP and other crops before nerfing mushrooms into the ground for the 4th time. I guess that's pretty valid. Yeah, because like I think, I don't know. When it comes to like buffs and nerfs, it's just a headache, to be honest. And of course, like we're not, as players, we're not responsible for that, right? We just kind of eat whatever we eat whatever Legion serves. So like when it comes to like the buffing and nerfing, I'll leave it up to them with the numbers, because I don't want to wrap my head around something that I have ultimately no impact on, right? But Spammy says, I disagree with those numbers. 120k was possible with workers Kodama ages ago. Yeah, I mean, it's been around for a while. It's not game breaking. Currently 200,000 is the mark referred to Leo's. Oh shoot, they watch my stream. Yo, what's up? Okay, I didn't know they watch my stream. Yo, if you're watching this, what's up? How's it going, bro? After the nerf, I suggested the number you provided would still be possible with optimal setup. Damn, dude, I'm watching my streams. I feel kind of cool. Adding the Fawn Bloom plus Flower one on their own make around 25k per hour. Oh shit, that's terrible. If you hit the cooldown perfectly all the time around the clock, which I wouldn't necessarily consider OP, looking like how digging can make over 100k per hour with just 2 items. Makes 100k. Really? I guess that makes sense. You use like a Daikoku plus elemental shovel, and then the elemental shovel kind of acts like a like an element, or it acts like a Aurora Carver, but for digging instead. So elemental shovel and Genesis shovel are like support shovel items. Actually, I want to try that out. I want to try the elemental shovel plus the Genesis shovel as a support for support digging with it paired up with the Daikoku. I think you can probably make some really good money with that. Actually, I gotta try that out. Damn. Hence a nerf wasn't suggested. Also, how does digging make 100k per hour? I feel like it's possible. That with the mushrooms farmer is not a reliable job. I would say as a new player, I mean, making a farm is quite easy. Like, let me show you guys. Like, this was actually really easy to make. Something like this. This can actually, for a newer player who doesn't want to invest into a mining loadout, technically, if you wanted to go the farming route, I would say the money is not terrible. It's not unviable. I think I make, like, after harvesting all this, I make like 20k. And all that is literally required is a Everbloom. The only thing that kind of sets you back is like the AFK time that's required to allow the crops to grow. But I mean, if you're gonna AFK for a little bit, you know, go into the middle of the chunk or something like that, put some, if you can afford a bee spawner, get a bee spawner, close the dome, nickname the bees, and boom, these crops are gonna be growing at a faster pace. And on top of that, if you make a farm like this, put a PW shop right on top, right? Make a PW shop right in the center of it. right on top. So then that way people come visit, dude, the entire chunk is loaded. So I think farming can be quite viable, and a play, like, I respect the play style. If anybody does play like that, I respect it. Um, I think I think I was making like some pretty good money. I got to test it out now at level 101 farmer, but Infinity Shovel, yeah, I would say it's on par with Hyperion, but to be honest, I would prefer, if I had a choice, now trying out the Infinity Shovel, I would prefer the Hyperion Shovel over the Infinity Shovel, guys. Look for a Hyperion instead of Infinity. I don't feel like the Infinity Shovel should be worth that much. The digging, I feel like you would need a certain biome to make over 100k per hour. Yeah, I think you would need like a mud biome is probably what they're referring to. Mud biome is, I think mud pays a lot, so probably the best way. Let's see. Spam brings us some numbers here, so let's try to use our brain a little bit, and let's see. So nerf from 0.3 to 0.175 with max profit. So he's looking at halving the mushrooms, I guess. So basically making it so it makes 100k per hour. So we are operating from different numbers here. Here's my point. Farmer requires minimal setup. Yeah, and if you're comparing it to miner, 100%. Like, I mean, like comparing miner to farming, and you know, like the setup is not a fraction, but I would say like half of what you need for mining, and you don't even make more. So that's their argument, and I guess I agree with that. Like that's a fair point. Here's my point. Farming requires minimal setup. Miner requires extreme precision, timing, cooldowns, 25 mils of items, close to 30 mil to make not 200k per hour. Probably lose 175k to 180k per hour. Just saying it's not proportionate, so something needs to be done. Oh, regarding your previous message, a farmer being nerfed, it got a 5-cent nerf. Nice. And then XP jobs buff was buffed 100%. I wouldn't call that much of a nerf. And then Fabian rebuttals with, the nerf was only directed to mushrooms as it's the only viable source of the farmer job. The farmer job, the XP didn't get buff. They got adjusted. The farmer job is basically impossible to even pursue with normal methods, even under the usage of blossom items. You can make less than 10k per hour. It cannot even be picked up for fun because it's just that terrible. Mushrooms did get nerfed 3 times before in the past. I believe if you nerf it more, you might as well remove the farmer job altogether. No, I would say it's just, I wouldn't say remove the entire. I think that's a bit of a that's a bit dramatic. Like, the only way to balance this is to nerf the mushrooms. Like, let's be honest. If Legion was looking for a rebalance for this method, the only way to do it is to nerf the mushrooms, right? Like, and a halving of it would still bring us like what, like, with the Gorb 150k per hour. If we were to get into some numbers, like I guess halving the mushrooms would net us from 220k at the very most down to what, 110k per hour. Pair that up with the Gorb with 30k per hour, that's 140k per hour, right? That's still pretty, that's not bad. Or makes these mushies like a 20-second cooldown. Viable nerf, true. They could nerf the D's mushy. They could do that too. That's another way to look at it. Instead of like touching the job entirely, how about look at the source of the item itself, right? That's not a bad way to look at it too. If you guys were to ask me about my opinion on what I prefer to do, I'm only doing Mushy's method because it makes a lot of money, right? Let's be honest, dude. I'm gonna go where the money is. I'm gonna go where the money is. Like, so I'm doing the Mushy's method so I can afford the sponsors. Let's be honest. I have a lot of obligations to pay you guys to play the sponsors and everything. Like, so I'm only doing the D's Mushy method because like I'm trying to make money. But if in all honesty, if I had a choice on like, you know, what I would prefer to do, it'd be mining. Even after doing it for 2 years, I'd prefer to be mining, dude. I love mining. I just go where the money is. Money talks. There are less than 10 people on the entirety of Blossomcraft with decent farmer level as sources, like a quick showcase from Leo or the exaggeration from others that cannot be used to accurately measure their job's income. Haha, yo, what's up, Fabian? Yo, Fabian, you sure too? Yo, my boy. Oh my gosh. Yo. I don't know. I feel so honored when people mention me. I just like You guys, you guys are awesome. Um, average is referring to how much you can make 8 hours in a row or more. That is true. Like when it comes to these mushy method, I mean, I can do it for 3 hours until it starts lowering, right? Like I'm making 200 and like 200 to 230k consistently for 3 hours until my bone meal runs dry, right? Like here, take a look here. Come take a look at my machine. I made this machine to absolutely min-max the amount of bone meal that it can feed into my machine. Look at this. I have 4 different sources of bone meal. I have a crap ton of spawners. Whenever I'm doing the method, whenever I do the method, constantly skeleton spawners are spawning right under me, which gets feed into an auto sorter, which gets feed into an auto crafter, which eventually brings it all the way back up with these elevators to put back into the system. And after 3 hours, that's not even enough. This is a total of, I think we're looking at like 40 skeleton spawners right now too. And that's not enough. And not only that, but I have this omega composter, which it does take every single mushroom and it converts it into bone meal, which eventually gets fed back into the machine too. And even that is not enough for longer than 3-hour sessions straight. So that's also something to consider as well. I min-maxed the crap out of this, and it's still not enough bone meal to sustain it for long hours. But for 3 hours, you can make yourself 200k per hour, and after that, you have to wait a little bit to replenish all that bone meal. So there's that argument as well. Average is referring to how much you can make 8 hours in a row or more. If what you'd be saying is the truth, looking at the current farmer XP requirements, we'd have 100 people at level 101 miner and a few, or 100 people. Yes, yeah, and I think the EXP scaling needs to be rebalanced for the mushroom for sure. I could see that happening. If the method doesn't get nerfed, then I can see the EXP scaling for mushrooms to be rebalanced, because it is really easy. Like you can if you're really like playing like hardcore Giga Chad playing for like 2 weeks, you can reach level 200 using this method easily. Lol, using the mushrooms as bone meal to make more mushrooms is funny. The cycle of mushroom life. No, for real. Actually, that's a great way to put it. Like using the mushrooms that I'm farming with the bone meal to make more bone meal is hilarious. And my machine, every single mushroom stem is being recycled as well. So there is absolutely no like downtime for that rotation of mushroom stems. Like that is completely efficient. 100% min-maxed. With a few days, 200k per hour with EXP would take you under a day to reach max level. I made 5 mil in under 60 minutes with miner before. 5 mil in under 60 minutes with miner before. I think Fabian is probably referring to placing ores and then breaking them, right? That doesn't mean that this number is elitable or reliable source of any kind of income talk. The 120k per hour I was referring to earlier was after a long trial and error run over being level 101 farmer and factoring in the amount of bone blocks I needed to farm for it. It brought the average down to around 70 to 80k. Keeping again in mind, almost every job can put up these numbers with significant lower effort. I do still agree to a nerf, but again, it's the only thing making the farmer job even just accessible in the first place. Oh, kind of well put there. I kind of like his closing sentence with it is like one of the things that makes like farming somewhat viable, right? But I think as a community, we got to kind of somewhat meet in the middle here. And I'm not saying that spam me is saying that we shouldn't meet the middle. Like I think they are trying to. I think they're trying to see how we can make this work in our current economy. So that's fair. But by the way, this is referring to flash boots and a daikoku, which would make 100 to 140k per hour. Oh, I want another tactic. You spam A and D. That's it. There are no cooldowns tactics involved. That's sick. So that means I can use Yeezys plus daikoku, and that can make me 100 to 140k per hour. That's pretty solid. Actually, that's pretty cool. Okay. Those are some interesting numbers. Leo's methods, I've watched his streams, isn't some fluke. It is extremely consistent. My boy. Yo, spam me if you're here right now. Like, dude, let me know, man. Let me know. What's up? Uh, regarding the 5 mil under 60 minutes, I'm sure this is a joke, right? Like the only way I can, I know you could do that is via a bug, which has gotten many people banned. Here's the thing: my numbers are irrelevant. You don't need to believe for the purpose of the suggestion. I'm saying setup cost minor 25 to 30 mil. Setup farmer cost 2 items, go to range from 1 mil to 5 mil. Charity spirit. I would say it's about 4 items. So Luminar helmet, Luminar wings, D's mushy, and Cupid's axe or cottage axe, and not only that, but you gotta know how to make the machine, right? You gotta be somewhat knowledgeable on redstone to manage a build like this, not to mention the time to time explosion where the machine can just absolutely explode and obliterate. So even if you commission somebody, and telekinesis, right? You need some form of telekinesis as well, so you can recycle those mushrooms extremely efficiently. And not to mention, like, you know, the investment of all these skeleton spawners, the investment of actually building, the time to build something like this, and compose it together, that could also be a factor in this method as well. And even if you did end up commissioning somebody to build something like this, dude, it can break. If you don't understand how auto crafters work, if you don't understand how any of this works, constantly bugging somebody is not a viable it's not a viable way to play. Constantly bugging somebody to you know, patch up your machine is definitely not viable. Because as far as I know, I don't think redstone engineers get paid for fixes, right? Typically when they make a machine, they come and they fix it, but, you know, on a timely manner, like whenever they are free. Not a 24/7 service. So it is more you'll get more out of it if you actually learn how to make the machine yourself, which requires a bit of knowledge. Like, look at this. This is quite complex. Not saying it's impossible, but it does require a bit of dedication to learn, which not everybody hops on Blossom Craft or Minecraft in general and wants to learn redstone. I mean, hell, 2.5 years of playing Blossom Craft, I did not want to touch redstone at all. I knew that I was good at making money, and so I did not mind just paying players to do it for me. But it's gotten to the point where, you know what, this method just was so intriguing to me that I had to learn. And I feel like I have a responsibility to kind of showcase like these new things like this. It's awesome. Here's the thing: my numbers are irrelevant. 1 mil to the miner receives waves and waves of support. It should be worth it. It does. Miner is like I would say it's the #1 job. Also, you mentioned you're fine with the nerf. How much may I ask? I would look at like a halving, like half. It would be, I think, would still make it viable. Even with like half of it, if you gorb and you do the method, you're looking at making money with like a Blossom Staff setup, which, you know, like I think that's pretty solid. But again, not to mention, it is impossible to get a D's Mushy. Remember, it is really, really hard to get one right now. So even if it did get nerfed, it would only impact like what, like 10 people? Let's see, jobs, top farmer. I can tell Whiskey's doing it. British 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see 6.5, 7.5. But like 8 people, I want to say. I can just tell off of the farmer. I mean, but with more, like, you know, of course, like, you know, with more light shedding on the method, more people are probably going to do it, of course. And then there's going to be probably people who have D's Mushy who's going to probably start renting it out. But I think if people are going to start renting out a D's Mushy, they should rent it alongside a machine that works. Or yeah, it's still hard to get into, guys. It's still really hard. I feel like the setup is a lot cheaper than the typical mining setup. Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what Spammy is saying. It's like, you know, when you're comparing the two, mining to this current method, to this current mushy method, it's like, you know, the ceiling is quite lower, right? I would say it's about half if I were to put a number on it. Yeah. So why aren't people digging level 200 yet? Because 140k is like, oh my god, I need to get this. I would say I think Fabian was saying that like it was like that's the most that they made, but it's not like when I say 100, when I say, oh, I make this much per hour, it's a consistent thing. I think when Fabian says, oh, I make this per hour, it's that was like his peak money per hour. I think that reading Fabian's message, like he was I think that's how he refers to his money per hour. He refers to it as his very most. When I look at money per hour, I look at averages. So I think there was just like a mistranslation. Same reason why there aren't floors. People pushing floors or farmers is unbelievably boring. I don't know. To each their own. I don't think we can really generalize these jobs and say that they're boring, because like honestly, like before I started playing Blossomcraft, dude, let me tell you, bro, like before I started like showcasing mining and everything like that, mining wasn't a really like, it was like whatever. People thought mining was a chore. I kind of made it like, you know, with all the jokes and everything, lock in guys, and all that. Like I kind of made mining without tooting my own horn too much, but like, you know, all those hours of mining, you literally visibly see me playing for hours upon hours, right? And then a lot of people are saying, oh, if Leo can mine for hours upon hours, like I like, you know, like it motivated them, right? So I want to say I had a little bit of an effect on the job, but before me, people were like, oh dude, mining is so boring. People would come into my stream like, how do you do this for hours upon hours? This is like this is the most mind-numbing thing. And I'm like, and I'm just here smiling like, dude, I love this. This is so fun. This is so fun for me. And Kthonix is right. Yeah, everybody has different preferences, so I don't think saying florist is a boring job, digging is a boring job. Everybody is different, and everybody has different tolerances. So I actually enjoy mining when I have music or you're streaming in the background. Thank you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I do have an impact on players who, you know, are looking to progress in the mining, because I try my best to make it as fun as possible. And I think I did for the past 2 years. Making mining a linear progression makes it even more fun, you know, working towards your next piece of gear. Kind of referencing to my Iron Man series, where, you know, like I started feeling that sense of progression again, you know, starting over. That was awesome. Like, and I'm so excited to play on Cherry again next week. If you guys haven't watched that yet, go check it out on the LeooKnightus channel. We started our Iron Man series. So we got if you guys don't want to watch it, we got a coral pickaxe, but it took half the day to get to that point, but that was awesome. And I think starting next week we're gonna start snowballing a little bit. Leo, can you type in chat how much Christmas pick is? Was like 250k. What do you type in chat? I can just say right here, like 250k is how much I saw it going for. Dude, this thread is really long. Lots of messages. I could go on and on and on about this, but I think the players, I think Fabian and I think Show Me is their name, or Spam Me. They both have good takes. Same with Noob. I think everybody has good takes here. I don't think there's any wrong, like, the only wrong answer that I can really see here is like removing farmer job entirely, which is completely like, don't do that. But yeah, I can see players putting in an effort to try to, you know, meet in the middle here, and it seems pretty tame. But I do want to before I wrap things up with this whole thread, I want to showcase British Bear's method, because I completely agree with this. This is very articulate in his response. So let's go ahead and read it. This farmer method isn't just as simple as get 2 items and bang 200k per hour. Agreed, as I mentioned earlier. I actively use it and believe I may be the cause for the idea skyrocketing. Yes, because remember when, I don't know if anybody was here, but on one of my streams, British was like, hey, come check this out. And then I was like, oh, dude, I gotta do this. Like, you know, he was the one who showcased the idea to me, and then I ended up also, you know, replicating it. So British Bear was actually the reason why this method has been circulating. And then probably me too, because like, you know, him showing me and then me showing you guys, right? And believe I may be the cause for the idea skyrocketing purely based that there was none. No. Maybe one farmer over level 100 on the server before I shown Leo my method. There we go. Yes, there was only like one person level 100, but I think they got removed off the G top list, or the top list, because I forgot who it was, because it wasn't Whiskey, but they ended up getting removed off the list. So I don't know if they got like banned or something. Was it you, Whiskey? Oh, I could have sworn maybe I was looking at a different job. My bad. So it was Whiskey. My bad. I want to make sure I give credit where it's due, right? It actually requires quite a larger machine. It does. I mean, I based off my reference point on my machine, you guys can see how big it is. It's very time consuming to make and requires at least moderate knowledge on redstone. Agreed. then you have to bone meal the consumption, which is absurd the amount it uses. It's absurd the amount that it uses. If it's not an efficient machine, someone mentioned above around 50 to 70 shulkers an hour, and it's probably not far off that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if 50, 70 shulkers. It's a lot. It's actually, remember, it's a lot of bone meal. And you guys may have noticed I have to AFK so much on my machine. And then sometimes I even, like, if I can alt, what I'll do is I'll have my alt AFK at the machine, and then I'll just go mining for the downtime, right? Like, just so I can get some, I can replenish some bone meal. Even with 4 skeleton farms and all mushroom blocks being pushed to composters to create bone meal, it isn't enough. Yes, it's not. It's really not. So then you have to AFK the farm so the spawners can make more bone meal. Yes, I AFK a lot now at my machine. I will add the 200k per hour is based off of 10-minute test runs. You can't consistently make 200k an hour as you need the dispensers to refill the bone meals due to how much it uses. Yeah, it was 200k per hour, but that's in a world where the bone meal is not an issue. Like, it's 3 hours until it runs dry and you're not doing it efficiently. That's where it becomes problematic. Guys, I'll answer all your questions in just a moment here. We're talking about the Mushy method right now. I do want to give proper limelight for this, and then I'll give you guys your guys' advice in about like 15 minutes or so. You'll get maybe 2 to 3 hours before at least one, if not more, run out of bone meal. Of course, you can at least buy bone meal or bone blocks, but this again lowers your hourly rate as it takes time to refill. Yeah, I was buying bone blocks at $2 per, which is the highest on the server. Now people are buying it for $2.50 per bone block, and I can only see that going higher and higher if this method does stay around. But that's still, yes, British Bear's right. It's just going to lower your money per hour. Like, we can actually do some quick math here. 3,456, let's say, bone blocks. 3,456 multiplied by, let's say, $2.50. That's 8,000 for a double shulker of bone, actually, which is not terrible, actually. That's not that bad, but the rate that it consumes at is quite high. Remember, we would have to do a bit more math to figure out how much that would get consumed in the system, and then, you know, the time consumption to fill the machine through your automated system. It is nice, though, to actually have another decent money-making method other than miner. The main money-making method, being miner 99% of the time, does kind of get boring after a while. I agree with that. You know, there are times where I want to step away from the mines for a little bit, and I do get that. But mining is one of my favorite jobs personally. But I can see the POV from other players where it's like, I don't want to go mining and stuff. Like, I get it. Especially since all the other jobs are either a pain in the ass to even level up, rent your floors, for example, or even just make a little to no money to make it even worth it. We'll also note, I did run the idea and an explanation on how the machine works and its income per hour by Legion before going ahead and fully using it, so he is aware. Yes, that's why, and that's what I forwarded to you guys. Legion is fully aware of the method, and I would not be showcasing it if he wasn't. Like, because then I was actually like scared to showcase it because I felt like, oh, is this like borderline exploit? Even though British Bear reassured me the first time, then I had to ask again because like I didn't want to do it on stream because I felt like, oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble as a partner. And then so I asked him again before I decided to go all in on showcasing it. And I was like, hey British, like I'm a little bit scared. Could you just reassure me before I start, telling my community? And he did. Like he messaged me and he was like, hey, listen, like Legion is fully aware of this and with how much money it makes per hour, and he's fully okay with it. But that's off the record. That's what British Bear told me off the record. Now I want to see how Legion responds to this entire discussion now, right? I did add my own personal message here, replying to British Bear, and this is what I had to say, and it's the method requires redstone knowledge and a good bit of gear to attempt. It doesn't help that the Mushy is hidden away in a crate that isn't possible to pull until anniversary. It's a pretty good method to make money, but with my current machine, I run out of bone meal after 3 hours of farming. The bone meal consumption is pretty insane even with full optimization. I would argue that the machine does require a lot of attention, since if you don't break the mushrooms fast enough, the dispensers will continuously unload bone meal on the shrooms that aren't fully grown yet, making us lose even more bone meal. Yes, which requires active playtime, right? You want to be able to, after you activate the Mushy, you want to break down all the mushrooms. Otherwise, your bone meal is going to continuously get consumed, which is, it's going to be more of an issue, right? For bone meal consumption. Not only that, but let's say your machine blows up. You have to understand redstone to be confident enough to potentially rebuild it. It's not a method that it's just a pick up and do, but I am curious on what Legion has to say. Yeah, it's certainly not a pick up and just like go for it method. There is a lot of setup that is required, which is kind of my argument against it. But again, either if it gets nerfed or whether it stays the way it is, I don't care. I don't care. But I go where the money is, right? I go where the money is, and this is clearly one of the best ways to make money right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got nerfed. This is completely accurate. So I replied to British, just so if anybody wants to read his message, I replied to his message. I'm like, this is completely accurate, and British Bear's take is more of an articulate response than mine. Replying for visibility, if Legion gives public green light, I'll make a full video for elaboration on how it works, but for now I see it as there's no point in producing content for a method that may get nerfed. Yeah, if you know, as soon as Legion, you know, if he responds to it and he's like, yo, like, we're good, then I'll make a video about it, and I'll even post a schematic. I'll make a simple design for you guys. I'll go as far as making a simple design, elaborating on the loadout and maximizing it, and then you guys do whatever you want with it. But for now, I don't see any point in it, as we don't know if it's going to get nerfed or not. So for the people who are like, oh, you know, like, hey, Leo, like, teach us how to make the farm, it's like, I just feel like I have more important things to do at the moment, because content takes a long time to make. Like, dude, I'm still kind of exhausted from the video from last night. That took like, so I ended the stream around, like, for the Iron Man challenge, I think I ended the stream around like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed up till 7 o'clock in the morning to fully edit that. And like, that's a lot of time. You know, I just did a 9-hour stream, and on top of that, I did 5 extra hours of editing. So 9 hours of streaming and 5 hours of editing, bro. Like, dude, I'm like spreading myself thin right now. Like, actually. But yeah, that's my take on the Mushy method. Hopefully you guys found that insightful, and that is just my take on it. Again, I don't really mind if whatever happens to it happens to it. It just means I can go back to mining.